All right, let's go through this N8n Server install. If you're using Zapier or Make or maybe some other tools, you may or may not realize uh, how expensive that can get very, very quickly. And I'll do another video kind of covering the costs, but I want to try to stay focused because I tend to hop around, and let's just try and stay focused on this server install. So if you're needing and wanting to install an N8n Server, now is the time. I'm sure there's some other videos on YouTube, not a problem, but here's one for you. So I do a lot of hosting on a lot of different hosts, and I've tested a lot of places like Volta or Amazon, Google Cloud, and other places. And I found that DigitalOcean for doing these type of droplet setups keeps it pretty simple and pretty straightforward and easier for people to digest. So if you don't have a DigitalOcean account, you can create one. I'm not providing any affiliate link here, although they do have an affiliate program. You're welcome to join that too as well. So let's get started. So I am logged into my DigitalOcean account, and I've created a project called the Legion Lab, and we're just going to go right up here to this button. It says create, and we're going to create a droplet, and this is going to create a cloud-based server, a virtual server. Okay, and pick a location that's closest to you. What I do like about some of the other hosts is they have a whole lot more locations. I'm in Texas, and so I'm just going to go ahead and go with New York, and then we're going to scroll down. And you don't have to change anything here if you don't want to, as far as the data center and stuff. But I would change something that's closer to you and maybe even your customers. Maybe you're in the UK, but all your customers are in the US. You're going to want to put a server that's in the US, not in the UK. It'll be closer to them for processing. Just things like that to consider. But for this demo, we'll just keep it simple. New York. Data center, New York. OS is Ubuntu, and the version is 24.04 LTS x64 right now. There may be some others coming or not. I don't really care at the moment. We are going to, for the droplet size, we're going to choose a basic, okay, and a premium Intel with an NVMe disk, not just a straight SSD disk. And we're going to go an $8 plan. That gives you 1 gigabit of memory, 1 CPU, and 35 gigabit of storage, and a terabit of transfer. More than enough for a small lead gen. And if you need to scale up, and you can certainly do that very easily. You'll be able to go into your account, select your droplet, and just say resize, and not lose anything. We don't really need much more than this right now. And one of the reasons why I do select the NVMe, it's a whole lot faster because it's RAM-based storage, basically, and rather than a disk or anything like that. And so that helps give it a whole lot more speed when you're down to just 1 CPU. Ideally, for production, for testing and doing this and learning and installing and playing around, just go with the $8 plan until you're ready. Then you might want to take it up to the 2 CPU, for your minimum. But I have quite a bit going on a small server, and I haven't had any problems. So, I mean, right now, I may go a little bit higher, but really don't feel that benefit until you add the extra CPU. So while you can go to the $16 plan, the $24 plan is pretty better. Okay, but let's go down. We're not going to do anything here for login SSH key. We're just going to use a password today, and I have a pre-selected password, and I'm going to copy this from a notepad, and I'm going to be using that password and that username through everything for the moment, and then I will change this out later. Okay. Now keep in mind, this is a root. You're setting the root password, and this is going to be the root user on your virtual server. Okay. Right now we're installing the virtual server, not N8n. We'll install N8n once we build the server and get that launched. Okay. So don't lose this. Keep a notepad. Put it in your password saving program, whatever. Make sure that if this is a production server that you keep this password safe, and you should be good. Although DigitalOcean makes it really easy to reset a password, whereas some don't. Vultr makes you hop through a bunch of hoops, but DigitalOcean is pretty easy. So we'll scroll down. We're not going to do anything else. We can change the host name. This will be the name of the server, just so we can have some identification. And I'm just going to go ahead and put the lead gen dash. And you know what? I'll just go ahead and so that we know what it is, who it's for, yada yada. And that should be good. And we'll say create droplet. Now this install goes pretty quick. These servers are very fast. It's Linux. It's blazing fast, but it can still be doing stuff in the background, even though the initial install says complete. So we're not quite ready, even though look, it already says it's done. It's not. Give it a few more minutes. But in the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to copy this IP address. That's all we're waiting for. Okay. Once we have the IP address to the server, now we can go into our DNS settings and point it to our server so that we'll be able to access it via our browser. Now, I already had a setup in here, and I'm just going to edit that. But you would create an A record. Now I'm using CloudFlare, and I do recommend if you can use something like CloudFlare. If your register is GoDaddy or Namecheap or whatever, point the name servers to CloudFlare, get a free account. That's all you need, and then you can come in here and you can manage all your accounts really fast, and it just makes it simple, especially if you're doing client work. Gives you a medium in between everything. So anyways, we'll create an A record and we give it a name. In this case, we did N8n, and then we're going to paste in our IP address. We're going to, by default, it's going to show proxy status proxied. We want to turn that off. Okay. Don't leave that on. We want just an IP pass through to the server. The server is going to provide its own SSL in this case. All right. And we'll just say save. Okay, and what that'll do is give us an n8n.theleadgenlab.com. Okay, now we're going to go back to our server, and we will click on it. There we go. All good. Close this little box here. Now, one of the things I like about DigitalOcean is they make accessing the terminal console a little bit easier than others. I do use, some other terminal applications and stuff, but for this one, it's pretty clean and auto logs you in. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up a terminal so that we can execute some commands from this cool list here on the server. So we'll just say console, and it will open up, and it's going to log us straight in. Okay. And the first thing we're going to do is add a user. Okay, and now I'm just going to do some copy and paste to save time. Add user. A little trick here is highlight the cursor, then right click and paste as text. Okay, hit enter. Move this little thing out of the way. Now we're going to give a new password. And we're going to do the same thing. Especially be careful. Only try to click only once, because in that field, new password or password, when you're inside a terminal, it won't show you. It'll just be blank. So I'm going to paste this text. It'll look like there's nothing there, but it is there. Just hit enter. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing. Paste this text. Don't click again. Just hit enter. All right, now it's going to ask you for some information if you want to add it. You don't need to add anything here. If you don't want to, you can accept the defaults. Say yes. Boom. Okay. So now we've created a user, but we need to turn that user into a super user. Okay, so our next step is to modify that user. So we'll do the same thing, highlight, paste as text. Make sure there's no funny text squiggly lines in front or behind this. You'll know when you see it. It may happen to us here or may not. I've gotten a little bit better of that not happening, but user mod dash a capital G sudo labadmin is our user. So we're going to make labadmin the super user on the server. Okay, boom, it's done. You're not going to get a prompt that says, complete or anything like that. But if you don't get an error, you should assume that it's okay. Another way to test this, because we are going to use it, we're going to say login, right? Lab admin, okay? And it's going to prompt us for a password. And I just paste that. Same process, paste as text, hit enter, boom. Now we're in. Okay, so now we've got a super user that can do anything on the server. And now we're going to clone the latest N8n image, and I will provide all these commands and text. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to paste this text and just hit enter. Boom. So that is cloned it in there. Now, one of the things it does, I believe it creates a directory, and let's double check that by typing dir for dir. You just hit enter. Now you can see N8n Docker Caddy. Now, this is a fresh Ubuntu Linux install. It doesn't mean that Docker was enabled on it. I've had instances where I didn't have a problem. It's not a problem, but didn't have an issue. And then occasionally it doesn't have Docker installed, but we've created a Docker-based folder, but there's nothing really in it yet. What we'll do is we'll wait until we hit that snag. Our next thing we're going to do is we want to go into this directory. Okay, so we're going to cd into that directory, and I'm just going to copy and paste for the sake of you guys not watching me fat finger everything. We'll hit enter. We're now in that folder, and if I say dir directory, hit enter, you can see that we got some files. We got our Caddy config, our Docker compose, and local files. Okay, and the next telltale sign might be that we get the errors. And if we're going to get the error that I think we may get, we'll get it with this command. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create some volume folders for Docker. Now this is assuming that Docker is enabled on the server. Okay, and if it is, it'll go right there. If not, we'll just get a little error, and then if that'll tell us that it's not enabled and or installed, and then we'll go through that quick little install. So we'll copy that. I want to paste that as plain text, hit enter. And now it's going to want a password, and this should be the last time I asked for a password. Okay, and we'll hit paste. Okay, Docker command not found. All right, so we've got to now back up and install, do some updates. Okay, so we're going to go sudo apt update, and this will check for any of the updates that need to be on the server. Okay, and then we'll go sudo apt install snapd, I can't pronounce it. Hit enter. All right, good. And now we're going to install Docker. This time I'm just going to paste it. Just plain text. Now we're installing Docker. moment, it should give us the all clear, and then we can create the volumes. Okay, now we should be able to create these volumes. So, and by the way, you can cursor up and back and forth with your arrow key to do the add to the command line if you want, right? So I'm just going to do that one. We're going to create the Caddy underscore data like that. Hit enter. And now we've got a result. Okay, so now we're going to do the next one, and we're going to create the N8n data volume. Text. Enter. Boom. Okay. All good. Next we got to do is we're going to open up the web ports. So port 80 is, and then you got an SSL port. You can just paste them both in like that, or do one at a time. It's up to you. So I'll do the first one. I'm going to say paste this text. Now we opened up that port. Copy that. Open up that port. Okay. Now that's all good. Now we're going to configure N8n. So I'm going to go nano, which is basically a text editor. Okay. And we're going to open up the environment file and make some little changes here. Now, there's where I usually get myself in trouble, because I do this from memory sometimes and I screw it up. So in this case, see, I already mistyped it. Lab admin is our super user in the home directory. Okay, so our data folder is, we've got to tell the compose file the location of the N8n Docker Caddy folder. Okay, and that's what we're doing here. If you do this install, this will be the ticket. Now we're going to go down to the domain, and our top level domain is going to be the leadgenlab.com. Okay, and our subdomain is N8n, and we changed that in CloudFlare for our DNS. Okay, and then we need to change our time zone. So depending on your time zone, you're going to want to do it in this format. So I am in America, and if I can spell it, and I am in Central Time, so that's Chicago. Okay, and SSL email, and I'm just going to go rob at leadgenlab.com. Oh, okay, this should be good. And if I do have any errors, it's going to most likely be this folder up here. Okay, so now we're going to do Control O, and that will set it up to write the file. You'll see this white line. Okay, and then you're just going to hit enter. Now it wrote the file. Now you're going to go Control X to get out. Okay, this next one is nano, the text editor, docker compose.yml, and you shouldn't have to make any changes here. We're just going to open it up to make sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be. Okay, and there's one thing I want to point out here. Some prior installs of N8n did not add the HTTPS protocol. It was, I don't even think it, and it didn't add the webhook one, right? Okay, it was HTTP. It needs to be HTTPS. Okay, make sure that's there. Otherwise, once you get inside N8n and you try to do a webhook, you'll notice that it'll just show HTTP. So we want to make sure that it shows HTTPS. So this all looks good. A little trick, which I'm kind of getting ahead of things here. a little trick. Right now, the latest version is pulled down, but let's just say there's a different version you want to install, a later version, a newer version, but the release isn't quite public yet, maybe beta. So you can put a colon and then, the version number, and that will pull down that image. But we're not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it. Okay. Everything seems to look fine. So I'm just going to Control X and get out of there. And that's that one. And now we've got to check. Oh, we do have some edits to do on the Caddy file. So that's this one right here. All right, I'm just going to copy this. Paste this text. Yeah, this one. Okay, so you can see it says N8n dot and then domain dot suffix. Okay, so we're going to change this. So N8n is the subdomain that we specified, whatever we decided to name it. The suffix is like the .com, .net, whatever. So in our case, it's the leadgenlab.com. Okay, so N8n dot theleadgen.com. We're all good, clean. Control O, and we'll write it out, and then we'll X it out of that. Okay, now we're just about done. We're going to run this last command, and what that's going to do is, based on the configuration edits that we made, now it's going to build N8n based on those compose file configurations and ideally properly configure our server, and then we should be done. So I think I've copied that. I'm just going to paste that in. Let's see, sudo. Yeah, all good. Boom. Here we go. Now it's doing the fancy stuff. And when this is all done, we should be able to, if we don't get any errors, if we get an error here, it's going to be because of that home folder almost every time. It could be a different path. I've kind of got that one down to being correct now all the time. I've done it, messed it up a couple of times. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so now we should be able to get to our new website. All right, so let's go check that out. I'm just going to go ahead and close this. Let's open up a browser, and we'll go and see, I'd already had it in there once before, and boom, we're live. Okay, fresh N8n install. I'll send, and I'm just going to do my famous. It has to be right. I think I did it right. Oh, come on. There we go. Enter my own password. My gosh. Okay, and I'm just gonna select it. Whatever. Okay, we'll just say get started. And that's it. It's a clean install. It's fully functioning. And we'll do a quick little test to make sure that all is good. So let's start from scratch. And you can click here, or you can go up here. I'll just go ahead and click here, and we'll just say hook. Now let's add a webhook. You see how it says HTTPS right there? You want to make sure it's like that, and it doesn't say HTTP : Okay, if you got that, you're good to go. All right, and that you got a nice little lock up here as well. So all that needs to be in place. So change this to post and copy. And let's go over to Postman. Well, I've already done a little pre-configuration. I'm not going to walk through all this. I just put some garb in here, and the authorization is blank. I think at the moment there's no authorization needed. So I'm just going to send. Oops, I didn't set it to listening. You got to listen for event. Okay, send it. Boom, workflow has started. Go here, and we've got data. All right, N8n is working. We now have a fully working N8n server. And how long did that take us? 25-ish, 26 minutes roughly. Not too bad. In other videos, I will go over using N8n. I will go over some pricing schemes of why you should be using N8n. Using N8n with Go High Level, using N8n for all kinds of other stuff, managing clients, using N8n as a lead distribution server. I have some really cool setups and automations for that. If you know, GHL is pretty cool with its automations. You couple this with N8n, you get some pretty powerful flexibility. But even if you don't want to use tools like GHL or some of the more expensive lead generation, lead delivery tools out there, you can do it with N8n, and for very cheap. Look at that, was $8 for the server, and you're only that's for the hosting, $8 a month, and that's it. And it's unlimited workflows. Okay. So if I save this, you'll have workflows here. You'll have unlimited workflows and unlimited steps. Okay, and you can do all kinds of crazy stuff in here to your heart's delight. And I will be posting, again, like I said, lots of interesting examples and stuff for you guys to use. But anyways, hopefully that helps. And that's it for now. I think I made it through this. All right, cool.